nutrition in plants.
Living things need food to get energy to carry out various life processes. Nutrition, respiration, circulation and excretion are important life processes for all of us.
We shall study about plant nutrition in this chapter. Nutrients and nutrition. The components of food such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats and vitamins are essential for our body. These components of food are called nutrients which provide nourishment to the body. Nutrients provide us energy, promote growth, repair worn out tissues and protect the body from various diseases. Nutrition is the process of providing or taking in nutrients into the body of living organisms so that they can carry out activities to keep themselves alive. Green plants make their own food from basic substances, that is water and minerals found in the soil and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in the presence of sunlight and the green pigment chlorophyll. This process is called photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means putting together. All green plants convert solar energy of the sun into chemical energy of food. Types of nutrition. The mode of nutrition of living organisms is classified into two types. Nutrition, autotrophic, the mode of nutrition in which organisms prepare their own food from simple raw materials from nature. Green plants, all algae and some bacteria belong to this category. Heterotrophic, the mode of nutrition in which organisms depend directly or indirectly on other sources for their food. These sources may be plants or animals that eat plants. Autotrophic nutrition. Organisms which make or synthesize their own food from simple raw materials are called autotrophs. And this mode of nutrition is called autotrophic nutrition. As they can prepare their food from raw inorganic materials, carbon dioxide and water, they are also known as producers. Autotrophs range from simplest green plants like algae to complex forms like the large branched trees. Leaves, the plant's food factories. Green leaves are called the kitchen of the plant as the cells of these leaves have tiny structures, the chloroplasts. Chloros means green, plast means form, where food is prepared by the process of photosynthesis. The chloroplasts contain a green pigment, chlorophyll, that makes the leaf green. Chlorophyll absorbs the solar energy and converts it into chemical energy. The following equation represents photosynthesis. CO2, carbon dioxide plus H2O, water, in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight gives C6H12O6, glucose, plus O2, oxygen. Note, the equation need not to be balanced at this level. For photosynthesis, the leaves get water from the soil and carbon dioxide from the air. Water and minerals are absorbed from the soil by the roots, carried to the stem and finally to the leaves through water-conducting tissues called xylem vessels. These vessels are present throughout the plant body as series of water pipes from roots to leaves. Stomata, singular stoma, are present on the epidermis of leaves. Gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide from the air diffuse through the stomata. Oxygen, the byproduct of photosynthesis, is diffused out during the day. A lot of water vapor is also released through the stomata into the atmosphere through the process of transpiration. Can we imagine the earth without green plants and no photosynthesis? In the absence of photosynthesis, there would be no living organism and the earth would be a barren place. Thus, photosynthesis is important in the following ways. The food prepared by the process of photosynthesis is the ultimate source of energy for most of the living beings on the earth. During photosynthesis, oxygen is released into the atmosphere, which is the life supporting gas. Photosynthesis helps in maintaining balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Let us perform the following activity to test the presence of starch. Activity 1 for demonstration. Note: to be performed under teacher's supervision. Aim: to test for the presence of starch in a leaf. Materials required: green leaf, beaker, tripod stand, burner, test tube, alcohol, iodine solution, tap water, petri dish and dropper. Procedure: pluck a healthy green leaf of a plant which was kept in sunlight. Boil it in water contained in a beaker for about 4 to 5 minutes. This will make the leaf soft and stop any further chemical changes in it. Put the leaf in a test tube containing alcohol. Place the test tube in a beaker of boiling water. The alcohol will bleach the leaf and make it free from chlorophyll. Wash the leaf in water. Place it in a petri dish and add a few drops of iodine solution. Observation: the leaf turns blue-black. Conclusion: the leaf changes into blue-black color due to the presence of starch in it. Precaution: avoid heating alcohol on direct flame. All green plants prepare food as glucose, a type of carbohydrate. They store food as starch, a complex insoluble form of carbohydrate. Food is also stored as oil and protein. These are stored in different parts like root, stem, leaf, fruit and seed. Activity 2. Aim: to show that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Materials required: coleus leaf, beaker, tripod stand, burner, test tube, alcohol, iodine solution, tap water and petri dish. Procedure: take a coleus plant with variegated leaves having some green and some purple areas. Pluck one leaf. Make its outline on paper and mark on the outline the green and non-green area. Chlorophyll is present only in green portion of leaves. Test the leaf for starch as in activity 1. Compare the blue part of the leaf with your sketch. Observation: only the part that was green turns bluish black, whereas the other non-green part does not. Conclusion: this shows that starch is formed only in the green areas of the leaf. The other non-green area does not show the starch test. Thus, it can be concluded that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Activity 3. Aim: to show that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Materials required: a potted plant, black paper, beaker, tripod stand, burner, test tube, alcohol, iodine solution, tap water and petri dish. Procedure: take a potted plant. Destarch the leaves by keeping the plant in a dark room for 2 days. Cover one of its leaves with black paper on which a circular design is cut. Place the plant in the sunlight. After 4 to 6 hours, Test the leaf which is covered with black paper for the presence of starch as in activity 1. Observation. Only the part of the leaf which could not get light through the cutout design as well as those that were left uncovered by the black paper turns blue-black. Conclusion. This shows the presence of starch in only those parts of leaf which were exposed to sunlight. Thus, sunlight is necessary for
photosynthesis.
activity 4. Aim to show that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Materials required: a potted plant, soda lime, a bell jar, iodine solution, and a dropper. Procedure: take a potted plant. Destarch the leaves by keeping the plant in a dark room for 2 days. Now put the plant in a bell jar in sunlight. Add some soda lime in bell jar. Soda lime will remove the carbon dioxide present inside the bell jar. Now test the presence of starch using iodine solution. Observation: the leaves of plant inside the bell jar do not turn blue-black. Conclusion: this shows that the leaves of the plant inside the bell jar did not carry out photosynthesis in the absence of carbon dioxide. Thus, carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Activity 5. Aim to show that oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis. Materials required: beaker, hydrilla plant, funnel, test tube, and water. Procedure: take a hydrilla plant and put it in a beaker filled up to 3/4 with water. Cover the plant with a short stemmed funnel. Keep support to raise the level of funnel. Invert a test tube full of water over the stem of the funnel. Ensure that the level of water in the beaker is above the level of stem of the inverted funnel. Place the apparatus in sunlight for a few hours. Observation: bubbles of oxygen gas are seen rising from the stem of the funnel. Conclusion: these bubbles are produced by hydrilla as end product of photosynthesis. Hence, it can be concluded that oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis. Synthesis of food other than carbohydrates by plants. During photosynthesis, green plants synthesize carbohydrates. These are organic compounds containing carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Plants also synthesize other organic compounds like proteins and fats by using carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Proteins help to make new cells and are required for the growth of tissues by all living organisms. Proteins are complex organic molecules containing nitrogen apart from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. From where do plants obtain nitrogen? Though nitrogen is present in the atmosphere in abundance, about 78% by volume, its form is inert and cannot be used by any organism directly. Plants need nitrogen in soluble form. Rhizobium bacterium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into usable form. Nitrogenous compounds are made available to plants for synthesizing proteins. Heterotrophic nutrition.
Organisms that are not capable of synthesizing their food and are dependent on other organisms for their food requirements are called heterotrophs. Heteros means other, troph means nourishment.
For example, fungi and animals do not prepare their own food and they directly or indirectly dependent on green plants for their nutrition.
Also, we know that green plants prepare their food using energy from the sunlight. Hence, the sun is called the ultimate source of energy for all living beings.
As heterotrophs depend on others for food, plants and animals. They are also called consumers. All animals, including human beings, belong to this category. The mode of nutrition in living things that do not have chlorophyll is known as heterotrophic nutrition. Yeast, mushrooms, and molds are some examples of living organisms which are classified as fungi. Heterotrophic nutrition in organisms. Heterotrophic nutrition is of the following three types. Heterotrophic nutrition, saprotrophic, mode of nutrition in which organisms depend on dead and decaying matter. Example, yeast, molds, mushroom. Parasitic, mode of nutrition in which organisms depend on the host organism for their nutrition. Example, cuscuta. Symbiotic, mode of nutrition in which two living organisms live together for mutual benefit. Example, rhizobium, lichen. Number one, saprotrophic nutrition. Some living organisms which feed on dead and decaying organic matter are called saprotrophs. Other terms used for saprotrophs with the same meaning are saprophytes and saprobionts.
Saprotrophs secrete digestive juices on the dead and organic matter. It is then digested and converted into simple soluble forms.
The soluble end products of digestion are then absorbed by the saprotrophs. The mode of nutrition in which organisms take in nutrients from dead and decaying organic matter is called saprotrophic nutrition. Saprotrophs are also called decomposers as they play a very important role in breaking down of dead organic material. Some common examples of saprotrophs are fungi like mold, yeast, mushroom, and many bacteria. Fungi are more commonly seen growing during rainy season. They are a group of living organisms that lack chlorophyll, so they lead heterotrophic mode of life. Their body is made up of a mass of very fine and cottony threads called hyphae. They grow on plant and animal organic matter like clothes, pickle, jam, bread, leather, wood, paper, etc. Activity 6. Aim to observe the growth of bread mold. Materials required: a slice of bread, plastic bag, oven, and refrigerator. Procedure: cut a slice of bread into 3 pieces. To the first piece, sprinkle water. Keep it in a plastic bag and seal it. Leave the second piece in an oven to dry. When it is completely dry, put it in the second plastic bag and seal it. Put these 2 plastic bags in a warm room. Now keep the third piece of bread in a refrigerator and put it in the third plastic bag afterwards. After a week, examine the bread pieces without opening the bags. Observation: a white cottony growth of the mold can be seen in the first plastic bag. There will be no growth of fungus in the other 2 bags. Conclusion: bread is a favorable organic nutrient for the growth of the mold. The first plastic bag has all favorable conditions for its growth, that is warmth and humidity. There will be no growth of fungus in the other 2 bags. One of the conditions, that is moisture, is not present in the second bag. The third bag does not get favorable temperature condition for fungal growth. Number 2, parasitic nutrition. Some non-green plants live on or inside other living organisms called hosts and derive their food from them. For example, cuscuta is a non-green parasitic plant that derives its nutrition from the host plant. The mode of nutrition in which organisms take in food from other living organisms is called parasitic nutrition. In parasitic association, the parasite is always benefited, whereas the host is harmed. Parasitic plants are of 2 types. Parasitic plants, total parasites. These plants cannot make their own food and derive all of it from the host on which they are totally dependent throughout their life. Example, Cuscuta amarbale, a total stem parasite. Rafflesia, a total root parasite. Partial parasites. They have green leaves and therefore can make food for themselves. However, they get water and minerals for making food from the host plant. Example, mistletoe, a partial stem parasite. Sandalwood, a partial root parasite.
Number 3, symbiotic nutrition. Two organisms living in close association with each other, being of mutual benefit, are called symbionts. Sym means together, bios means life, and the condition of living together is called symbiosis.
The mode of nutrition in which a close relationship between two organisms of different species is established and they live together for their mutual benefit is called symbiotic nutrition. Lichen is an example of such association of two organisms. Algae, autotrophs, and fungi, saprophyte. The fungus holds the algae cells in its mat of web-like hyphae and supplies them with water and minerals. Algae, on the other hand, prepare food and supply it to the fungi. Rhizobium, the bacterium living in association with root nodules of leguminous plant, peas, soya beans are another examples. It derives its nutrition from the roots of these plants and in turn converts atmospheric nitrogen into absorbable form, nitrogenous compounds. These compounds are used by the plants for synthesizing proteins. In this way, the soil is replenished with nitrogen naturally. Special modes of nutrition. A special category of plants is insectivorous plants. These plants are also called carnivorous plants as they trap and feed on animals of different kinds, particularly insects. They are usually green and can make their own food. In this way, they supplement their normal autotrophic nutrition with a form of heterotrophic nutrition. Such plants typically grow in nitrogen deficient soil. They trap insects using specialized leaves or parts of leaves, digest the prey, and absorb the nitrogenous products from their body. Hence, their nitrogen demand is fulfilled from other source rather than the soil. Replenishment of nutrients in the soil. Plants need a wide variety of mineral elements for carrying out their life functions. These elements are absorbed from the soil by the root system, carried to the stems, branches, and leaves. These mineral nutrients are used by the plants for their growth and development. Their amount keeps on decreasing in the soil as they are used by the plants. In order to compensate for its loss, the farmers use fertilizers and manures. Fertilizers contain specific nutrients that replenish the soil. Rhizobium, which lives in the roots of leguminous plants,
Takes atmospheric nitrogen and converts it
into a usable form. But rhizobium cannot make their own food. Leguminous plants like gram, pea, moong, and bean provide them with food and shelter. These bacteria can reduce the use of nitrogenous fertilizers. Most of the pulses are obtained from the leguminous plants. Besides, electric discharge during lightning fixes some amount of nitrogen in the soil. The bacteria in the roots also fix nitrogen from air and make the soil fertile. This enrichment of the soil keeps the plant healthy, which leads to a larger crop yield. Can you tell why farmers practice crop rotation in their field? Signs in the vicinity. Plants use about only 1% of the absorbed water for photosynthesis. The rest is released into the atmosphere. This brings the much needed humidity in the air. One corn plant transpires over 200 liters of water in one growing season. The stem of cactus plant contains chlorophyll. and so it can carry on photosynthesis. The thick, fleshy structure of stem conserves water, and the leaves are modified into spines to reduce surface area and prevent transpiration. Thus, the cactus plant survives in extreme hot and dry conditions of the desert. Croton leaves have abundant amount of pigments of red and yellow color apart from chlorophyll. These various colored pigments make the plant beautiful and also mask the chlorophyll. So, the leaves of the croton plants can also make food by the process of photosynthesis. Some plants perform photosynthesis through a special mechanism so that they are able to release oxygen even at night. Examples are people, erica palm, neem tree, snake plant.
Aloe vera.
Some of these make excellent indoor plants.